in Texas, there's a whistleblower who they're looking to gag that's in the middle, going through a whole process of being gagged. This guy's 20,000 followers. And he only has 20,000 followers because he became a whistleblower. He's relatively in social media landscape. He's a nobody. And the state has said, "Oh, he's too much of a threat.
Sure.
We have to silence him." Do you think that that's a healthy perspective for our court to take? That, hey, if someone's going to tweet out things that the government doesn't like, that means that we need to silence them.
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely,
yeah. Absolutely, yes. Destiny going at it with a law tuber. Remember Nick Rekieta and Emily Baker and Nate the lawyer and all that during Good Logic was a part of that. This is Stephen Bunnell, a.k.a. Destiny, on the Destiny. I think this was on the original Destiny channel. He has a couple of them now. Going up against Good Logic, a debate, explosive, MAGA lawyer. Let's get into it. First Amendment.
Why would you say that?
So I think the first thing we have to consider is there are definitely times where even our fundamental rights could be taken from us. We can say, whether we're talking about the state coming after them, right? When you try to figure out what form of review you should engage in, right? Rational basis, intermediate scrutiny, strict scrutiny. There are times where even under strict scrutiny, a fundamental right could be implicated that the state will survive a Supreme Court analysis from, where they can deprive us of a given right. There are times when even political speech can be implicated. The Supreme Court has developed balancing tests for that, like in Brandenburg v. Ohio, to figure out if you're directly inciting somebody to violence, where speech can be violent.
Right.
And then we have criminal statutes related to conspiracy to commit crimes, which those conspiracies could involve no crime in and of itself, but rather the fact that you've made a plan to do a crime and then you've taken one step towards it, even if those two things on their own aren't illegal, both of them together with the speech element included can be a crime, right? Mm-hmm. And I think these are pretty easy things where we all agree that, like,
what the hell is Destiny talking about? He's arguing in favor of your rights being trampled. I mean, even in a devil's advocate way, this is just not something I'm willing to do. And I think that's what Destiny, a.k.a. Stephen Bunnell, is doing right now with Good Logic, Law Tuber. I think he's playing a role. There's no way. I know Destiny is off-putting for many. And if you disagree with me, you're going to really need to articulate yourself in the comments. The only way that your First Amendment rights stop is if they impede on someone else's rights. And to phrase it any other way is just the definition of authoritarianism. If you want to be an authoritarian, I'm perfectly fine, but own up to it. Back to Stephen Bunnell, a.k.a. Destiny, just making a complete buffoon of himself. And Good Logic as well, to not push back. He pushed back later, but there's so much here. I mean, talking about strict scrutiny, that's not designed to trample on rights. It's actually the reverse. It's actually defined to put the line to say where do your rights impede on somebody else's, to protect people's rights. Oh my goodness!
Like, these are things that are probably good to limit our speech in some way on these things, right? But I do agree that it should be like very narrowly and specifically tailored, right? If somebody says, "I hate my teacher, I just want to blow this place up," that's not enough, right? You need two people, you need a step taken towards an we need more. That's important. I agree. I think that one thing that I guess conceptually I would want to kind of push on a little bit is, you say the state and then you say the defendant. I would argue to some extent that the state is also kind of a little bit the embodiment of the people as well, right?
That is true.
You're talking about especially criminal law, the public has an interest in seeing crime prosecuted, right? That's why they're criminal laws. Is why we have police officers. We've all decided there are certain things in society we shouldn't do in a criminal aspect, right?
I'm letting you finish your point.
Yeah,
yeah. He didn't want to interrupt there because Destiny's right.
Sure. So I think that I do agree that also as a society we've decided that there is a burden on the state to prove crimes to a very, very, very high standard, that they have a very stringent set of rules that they're required to follow in how they gather that evidence and how they present it to the court. In every step is very important here. But I think that narrowly tailored gag orders around defendants that might be using extrajudicial processes to try to influence the outcome of that case. So, for instance, I think when it came to Trump, it was attacking the family member of the judge.
Judge Merchan's daughter, Laura Merchan.
Yeah. It takes me everything in my power. I've already watched this clip. I don't know, when you turn the camera on Destiny, there's something about Stephen Bunnell Good Logic a little bit too, that it just triggers me at times, and it's hard not to stop the video. What is he arguing here? He's arguing that if you are, let's even forget Trump for a second. If you are accused by the state of a crime, that you shouldn't be able to defend yourself in the court of public opinion. That's all a gag order is. Well, freedom of speech is in part there for you to be able to defend yourself. He's not even arguing that the speech tramples on anybody else's rights. Do you see the problem I have here? Bring this back. We're going to have to bring this back. This is too serious right now. I can't play with you right now. Let's bring this
they're
back.
required to follow in how they gather that evidence and how they present it to the court. And every step is very important here. But I think that narrowly tailored gag orders around defendants that might be using extrajudicial processes to try to influence the outcome.
What is the extrajudicial process? The gag order stops speech. What do you mean? Why are you calling speech an extrajudicial process? It is my First Amendment right. It's my fundamental right to be able to speak. Why, if I'm not in prison, why can't I speak? I mean, even in prison you can speak. It's just be hard to reach anybody.
Around defendants that might be using extrajudicial processes to try to influence the outcome of that case.
Of course you can do that. Why wouldn't you be able to? If the state accuses me of a crime, I can't speak out in the courtroom because the judge will say, shut the hell up, that's not your turn. But outside of the courtroom, if I'm on bail or whatever the situation is, forget about Trump. I should be able to defend myself. Why not? As long as I'm not trampling on anybody else's rights. Yes, if you are threatening somebody to me, or there's certain things you might be doing that could trample on somebody else's freedom, very rare. But yes, if you do that, but those things would apply even if you weren't being accused by the state. Real quick on Donald Trump, we'll get back to Stephen Bunnell. Destiny, I don't want to lose track of that. Good Logic, LawTube, kind of LawTube's in the building through Good Logic here. I prefer Robert Barnes. I don't know if Robert Barnes and Stephen Bunnell, Destiny, have had a discussion, but Robert Barnes is next level. He's dope. He's better than LawTube, all of them. And Nick is great too, but I don't know where his head is at right now. Hope he's all right. But then now you put it on Trump. Trump is accused by the state, but he's also running for president. So now you've got two problems. Even if he wasn't running for president, I just told you why he should be able to speak. As long as he's not impeding on anybody's right, it doesn't matter if he calls a juror. If he is outing a juror or something like that, obviously you can't do that because then you're putting a target potentially on a juror. But if he's talking about Stormy Daniels or something like that, why wouldn't he be able to talk about that? Period. But then on top of that, he's running for office. So he's got two layers of protection. I'm running for office. You're putting me on trial. That's part of the campaign. My political enemies are using that against me, or they can. Doesn't matter if they are or not. And I can't defend myself from a political standpoint. Oh, man, I think Steve Bunnell is designed to trigger people. That's all he is.
So, for instance, I think when it came to Trump, it was attacking the family member of the judge.
So what?
Judge Marchand's daughter, Laura
Yeah.
Marchand.
So what? He attacking. He wasn't trying to do any type of physical attacking. What he was saying is there's a conflict of interest, and in that case, he's protected. Definitely running for president, he can do that. If the person running for president against him can talk about the judge, then why couldn't he? For example, when Joe Biden was running, when Kamala Harris was running, could they have talked about the judge's daughter? If they could have, then Trump could have as well.
Or implicating like members of the jury. I don't know if Trump was doing that, but implications of like members of the jury or whatever. These are things where I don't see these serving a really good, if any, free speech purpose at all.
See, notice Destiny didn't say it violated anybody's rights. He's saying it didn't serve a good free speech purpose. Who decides that, Destiny? He sounds like Anakin in Star Wars.
But I do see how they could heavily intervene in that process of the adjudication of the trial itself. And much the same that somebody might say, well, gagging this person is hurting our freedom of speech because now it's been politicized. I think on the opposite end, you could say, well, this person is so popular and they have so much power with their speech that now they can politically survive any case because they can just make the appropriate threats or the appropriate statements to have a favorable outcome every time. And I think that is equally as concerning, I think, to an ordinary citizen.
What the hell are you
that's
talking
a
about?
dangerously foolish perspective to look at the state as another entity, just like a person.
To look what?
You're looking at the state. You premised all of this as looking at the state as a litigant or a party here, and you didn't look at the unique position of the state. And you said because of their
it's not a good argument by good logic because Destiny's right there. From the standpoint not that the state has rights, from the standpoint that the state is the embodiment of the people. It is. So that's not the concern here.
elected officials and their representative body of the people. In that case, we can view them as if they are the people, which that by that logic, you don't need to have a Bill of Rights. By that logic, you don't have to worry about anything as far as the state running amok, as far as the state being in danger, which is something that historically, when you look back to our founding fathers and to the thousands of years of historical precedent before that, you can say the state is notorious for trampling people.
Yeah, I agree, but that's not the premise of good logic's there. I don't agree. The state does represent the people of the area, whether it's local judge, federal judge. The federal judge represents the country. But so I don't like where he started that. But yeah, you're right. The government tramples on rights. Good logic didn't take it where I want to take it is, does the free speech trample on someone else's rights? If it does not, it is legal speech. It doesn't matter if they're in a criminal case or not.
And you're saying, well, the state is now the representative body of the people, therefore they're not a threat. They have a unique position because they are the only ones who are authorized and licensed to carry guns, to press charges, throw people in jail. They have a unique position that is not remotely akin to you or me or any other assembly of people that are put together.
Sure, but we've given them that power because we feel like there are some things in society that are so bad, that are so egregious that we want a third party.
100%.
Yeah,
I 100% agree with that. Mm-hmm. But that's why we have certain checks as to what powers and abilities they have, and say we are going to look at them as a completely different entity. So when you're trying to frame them as if, well, they're just they're just the will of the people being asserted, that's not a fair way of looking at them.
Yes, it is. Good logic's not doing a good job here. That is literally what the judicial system is.
Just trying to frame them that way, but that is what they are to some extent. Yeah.
I mean,
the laws are things that our representatives pass,
yes,
and then the police are enforcing these laws, hopefully in ways. DA is often elected or appointed position by the mayor. Your attorney general for the state is an elected.
The Destiny fans are going to kill me, man. I almost want to record this one. Destiny is wrong, but good logic is doing so poorly here. I have to say Destiny is right. The Destiny fans, they're just gonna flame me, man. No pun intended, with mentioning Stephen Bunnell. This is going to be a rough one. I'm just going to finish it out.
Position, I think, generally, or might be appointed sometimes by the governor, but these are people that they're
representative of the people. Yeah. I'm not disputing the fact that they're representative of the people.
So the people have vested their power in the courts and the executive.
That doesn't mean that they don't. Once they take that position, that they don't move into a completely different sphere than you or me. I mean, I think you recognize that.
Yeah, of course. They're entrusted with an awesome ability, and they should have restrictions on those.
And they have to have certain checks on them. Mm-hmm. And part of those checks is that, and part of the things as far as making it tougher for them.
See, where I would have went where good logic is now, he finally got off of that. He got destroyed on that part. He finally got off of that, and I would have said, because Destiny, Stephen Bunnell just agreed that there has to be a kind of a demarcation point or a check and balance from the government. So I would ask, and Comic Dave Smith does this well, these people who don't really, and I like good logic, but I don't know what's going on here, they ask the person they're debating questions. That's very powerful. Destiny, what is the line? So you say that the government should be able to gag somebody. What is the defining factor for that? He would never be able to define that, because what Destiny believes is whenever the government says they should gag someone, that's where I would want to nail him down. Because if Destiny would say, well, then it's got to be, it depends on the case, then you don't have a principle then. your only principle is trusting the government. Because if it depends on the case, then they could. Let's look at the Trump case. When would they cross the line on that?
And that the Supreme Court has always recognized is that you can't to look at them as if they're the same as the people. I mean, I understand that they pass a law because they're elected officials, but to say that they're the same as the people,
I've never said they're the same as the people.
Okay, so I
can't do it anymore, man. Y'all gonna kill me, man. I know. I deserve it. I'm gonna take it, man. I call balls and strikes. And Destiny Stephen Bonnell is way off, and I articulated why. But watching this again, Good Logic was bad. This was bad. I actually had notes here that Good Logic won. Here's my notes. I had notes here that ultimately Good Logic won this round by tying his arguments back to principles that resonate with people about the importance of free speech. And now I'm listening to it again. He got destroyed, but I'm sorry, man. I'm just going to have to tell you the truth. Even though I disagree with Destiny, Good Logic got destroyed by him. Ouch.
The next clip is ready below. Welcome to After Show Carnage.